So I'm going to flip it backwards against the compression stroke, and it should fire and then kick over and start without using electric starter. Nice clean idle on the rich side. That's what the popping is. It's not smooth and lean and fadey weak. This is a Super Chipmunk. Built it from a Carl Goldberg kit. This is the Art Scholl version. Pilot who has long since died in an aerobatic crash. I built the version with retracts and flaps. There was also another one with wheel pants, fixed gear and wheel pants. I built this plane before I moved from out east in 2005. So sometime before that, so it's more than 20 years old. Got it out to run it because I have some plans for it. I'm going to put it on Spectrum 2.4 gigahertz, so all new servos, Spectrum receiver, and I have another motor I want to put into it. Going to be a big block version. So this engine here is my first engine I ever bought. It's an OS61SF. I had a 60 size trainer. I was 28 years old when I took lessons and learned to fly. That was in the spring, and that summer I built a extra 300, and I put that motor in the extra 300. Flew it for 3 years. Learned aerobatics at the time. Put many flights on it. Then I lost that extra 300 due to the elevator failure, hinges or whatever. Elevator blew off and the plane went in. After that I built this, put the engine in it. At that point I did a rebuild on the engine, put new piston and liner and bearings in it. So it's been running on those bearings for more than 15 years, probably pushing 20 years. The retracts are pneumatically operated, has an air tank in it. Here's the valve for the air tank. Can hold up to 80 psi. Use this bike pump. Just plug that in. That way all the power is in the compressed air. Very lightweight, small tank. Tank is about that big around, maybe 4 inches long, 3.5 to 4 inches long. Get about 6 to 8 actuations of the retract. So I wanted to run this motor before I put it in storage. So I'm going to start it up, listen to it. I've already ran it. Didn't want to do the first start after sitting. Started right up, but I'll start up and listen to a nitro engine that is 32 years old. 60 years old. I was 28 years old when I bought this engine. Do the math. All right, let's fire it up. Listen to it. This has a valve in here. When you put this fitting on the end of this line, in there. It shuts off fuel to the engine and pumps to the tank. And then when you pull that fitting out, it runs straight through from the tank to the engine. So with a closed-in cowl, you don't have to be pulling any lines off to put fuel in it. I'm going to attempt 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We'll attempt a startup procedure I used to do. See if it'll do it. Went full throttle, primed it, bring the throttle back, crack it open. This is nothing more than a piece of rubber on this brass that I can get in there to cover the carburetor. I can't get it with my finger. So I'm going to flip it backwards against the compression stroke, and it should fire and then kick over and start without using electric starter. Nice clean idle on the rich side. That's what the popping is. It's not smooth and lean and fadey weak. Carries right over. Throttle response into the high end. So this has muffler pressure. With muffler pressure, you want it rich, level, running it static. You can hear how it's rich. So it's just breaking up slightly rich. That's because when you go vertical, the tank will fall below the carburetor. But here it's almost level and it'll lean out slightly. We want it to go lean and quick in the air. It'll also straighten level when it's biting. It'll clean up because we get more load on it versus static. The prop is slipping. I'll show you how you test that the mixture's right when you do your climb out. Critical point down into runway, you start your climb out. You cannot have your motor die. I'm going to raise the nose of the airplane. It should clean up when I raise it up. Throttle cut. So strong running engine. And I would always prefer rich, because rich stays running. More critical with an airplane, and rich running motors last longer. So OS 61 SF, my first engine. Well taken care of, rebuilt once. Like I said, it's been 15 or 20 years. No, more than 20 years since the rebuild. So on those bearings, both front and back bearings, liner and piston, then going through a complete break-in again. You're breaking in the piston to the liner and run it like that, and it'll last a long time, just like this one has. Couldn't help myself. before I get everything cleaned up out here, thought I'd run in, grab the motor, show you the motor. This is a Super Tiger 90. Beast of a motor. This is the big block that's going in the Super Chipmunk. Here's a pit style muffler. Sits in there like that. Sideways. This one also has a pit style muffler, dual exhaust. Still have the aluminum motor mounts from when I had this motor in the airplane. Nice strong mounts. I'll bring you in a little closer, show you a comparison to how it's going to fit in the cow. I'm going to have to do a little bit of fiberglass work, cut the openings a little different to fit it in there. Different motor mounts. Shouldn't look any different other than a bigger head sticking out of the cowling. Slightly bigger prop. I'll show you what this is going to look like right here. When I line everything up, looks like the length of the motor will be the same, so I won't change the spinner location to the cowling. And believe it or not, when I put this on center line, it's the same height of the head. It's just bigger piston. So the OS61 SF, that's a beast of a motor, but we're gonna have a little fun with this. With the OS61, it's almost 1-to-1. I got about 400 feet of vertical from straight and level before it quits climbing. With this, she's gonna go vertical, which always makes an airplane fun to fly. This has a square head, this is round, so I'll be doing a little fiberglass work, change that opening. Maybe the carburetor opening will be slight modification there. And this pit style muffler is a little bit wider than the one that's in here. I have right down here a bit of an opening cut out to clear the corner of this pit style muffler. I'll probably be cutting a little bit of an opening to clear this one with the bigger volume, and it's a little bit longer that way. So I love doing big block conversions. I got a couple, two helicopters, electric and a nitro, but beautiful motor. Been in storage, oiled up in a Ziploc bag. This one also has some age on it, but everything's clean, well taken care of. Put it in there, have a little fun. Take this Super Chipmunk vertical. I'll do a demonstration of the Retracts. So bicycle pump with a pressure valve on it. This is a needle for pumping up a football. Short piece of Robart's pneumatic line, and then this fitting that plugs into that fitting. Put that in there, clamp it, insert that, and watch the pressure. $40, $60. I'll stop at 60. I'm going to check. It's wrapped in foam. I haven't looked at it recently. I kind of think it was 80, but 60 will get me half a dozen retracts. So that's it. The tank is pumped up. That's the energy for the retracts. So lightweight tank in here, mini servo with a switch. The servo is just actuating a switch. Turn the radio on. Watch my failed retract servo go to full down. It's not supposed to do that. Don't pay attention to that. So this also has the oleo struts. So that suspension, when you're talking retracts, really makes for nicer ground handling. It's kind of a must-have. When they're down, they're in the lock position. You'll hear it click when they releases the lock and goes up. And also in the up position, it's locked. The real one, they didn't retract all the way in the wing. It's not thick enough to take wheels, kind of like the A10 Warthog. So that's scale. And going down, the spring will push it down. So you're hearing them lock and unlock. Locked in the up position, locked in the down position. The only thing the air is doing is cause them to go up. So it's a Robart system, the tank, all the lines. There's a quick disconnect to take the wing off. Robart quick disconnect. The idea behind it is it's much lighter setup than servos with ball screws actuating the retracts. So the power's coming from there. So see how many it'll do. 2. Unlock. Springs push down, lock. So here's number 3. So it could completely fail either down or up. If you lost all your air, if they're down, you can land, just can't retract. If you're up, you can keep flying like that. They stay up because they're locked. If you lost air, they're not going to hang halfway like you see sometime on retracts when they're jammed. In either up or down position, you're not in any kind of trouble. It's up, the spring will push it down, and locking both ways. Here's number 4 going up. That's number 5. And can we get 6? Yep, looks like we can get 6. So how many do you need? 6 is plenty. And then for free, just pump a little more air into them. You don't have to charge any batteries, separate battery for the retracts, or it's not taken from your flight pack. But figure if you take off, land for some reason, do a retract cycle, and you want to take off again and retract, it'd be twice. I mean, how many times did you retract? Shoot touch and goes and actuate them every time? You do touch and goes, fly around and not even actuate them. But anyway, very nice system. Just a bicycle pump, not very expensive. Works well. Something I wanted to do. It's kind of a unique airplane in the fact that aerobatic plane, pretty much like full house, flaps and retracts. I kind of think Art Scholl's plane was the one with the fixed gear and the wheel pants, and he had flaps. But there was another one made, or possibly even 2 or like 3 total. One of them had retracts, so it is a scale plane.